So in it, number one, guys, is crush them against the glass, right? We all know that shrimp like to eat like protein and things that are free, right? And if you look on the glass here, you can probably see along the glass, maybe if I look on the inside to the out, you might actually be able to see them better. Now this way, you can crush these and you can feed them to your shrimp. Just crush them, let them fall to the bottom and the shrimp will eat them. I don't do this a lot because I only like to feed my shrimp protein like one or two days a week basically. And the second option is a little bit more controversial, and that is to use something like no planaria. Now no planaria kills planaria, but it will also kill snails, right? So I've had mixed results with this before, because what will often happen with snails is if you use no planaria, they will die, but they will die very, very, very slowly, right? And in your tanks you will have snails, for example, like this one here. These are the one at the very front in the middle of the screen is a Malaysian trumpet snail. These will bury themselves in the gravel. Okay, there's another one there. You see it right in the dead center of the screen. They will bury themselves in the gravel, and what happens if you use no planaria is these snails will die over the course of like 1 or 2 weeks, and they will basically rot in the substrate. Okay, the other problem with no planaria as well is it often doesn't kill the snails for weeks and weeks and weeks. In at number 4, you could use assassin snails, right? I have assassin snails, but I have looked for them all day today and I can't find a single one. You've probably seen them in videos I've have of them before. There's normally like 1 or 2 in this tank here. I'm cruising around the bottom. I used to have lots and lots and lots of ram's horn snails in here, and that's why I put a couple of assassin snails in here, just to tidy up the tank a bit, because it was getting out of hand. Right, but snails, I have them in every single tank. I mean, they're not always a problem. They're actually quite a good cleanup crew as well. And as I mentioned before with the Malaysian trumpet snails, specifically if you have an active substrate, they are very good at keeping the substrate aerated, so to speak, right? They keep it free of rubbish because they are actually always ploughing through it. Third way I know of to deal with this is to use a trap. Like this. This is a trap made by JBL. Now this was the best trap I could find on the market, but it has a problem. It's very, very good at catching snails, but it's also very, very, very good at catching shrimp. And there is a problem, because I don't want the shrimp to be in here for any length of time, because in a small space like this the oxygen will be depleted very, very fastly, and you will lose shrimp if you use this over a certain period of time, right? If you have loads and loads of snails, typically you would bait this up. There's a little container in the middle here. You'd bait it up and you'd place it in your tank overnight, and that is where you'd have issues. Okay, so this works, and it will work if you have a fish tank, for example. Something like this is absolutely awesome, but I wouldn't recommend it for a shrimp tank. Second to last method is specific to one species of snail, and that is ram's horn snails. Ram's horn snails love to eat carrot. Okay, so if you want to catch ram's horn snails, do this. Like, what you want to do, guys, is you want to get a bit of string. Here is a piece of braid. I use fishing line stuff quite a lot for my stuff, and hopefully I don't knock off the snails that have been on here, because I've just put this in just to try and get a little bit of action on it there. You can see like there's like 3 or 4 already on it. I put this in like 5 minutes ago or something like that. Let's try and see if I can pull this up all the way to the top. You will see, right? And the good thing about this as well is you can actually feed carrot like this to snails all the time. You see the couple underneath as well? Because for some reason carrot in water doesn't really go off. I have tried this with putting a piece of carrot in a tank with no snails and no shrimp in it to see what happens to it, and it gets mycelium on it. It gets covered in fungus. Okay, so this is another way you can get rid of your snails. And I suppose this would be a great way for you guys that have like puffers and stuff, and be an easy way for you to pull like 3 or 4 snails out of your tank at a time to feed to your puffers, and it doesn't pollute the tank either. So that is the second to last method. And the first method is, guys, is to get your hands into the tank and do it yourself. Pull them out manually. Right, I'm going to show you how I do this as well. We have our forceps. I'm just going to grab a towel, move my chair over so we're going to do it in this tank here. What you need for this is some kind of glass. I use a little shot glass, like so. I hope you're going to be in focus most of the time with this. Right, you put your food in. That is generally the smelliest food that you have from all your shrimp food. Put your shot glass in, making sure you don't crush any shrimp, and just go to work. Go to work picking up the snails, okay? And there's here, for me, there's quite a few of them. But this tank was fed probably about an hour ago, and there's not like loads and loads and loads of snails, so I won't remove these snails from the tank. But you can see how it would be a problem if you had thousands of snails like this. And it does take a little while for you to do this, guys, but it is worth doing it by hand, manually. It's by far the best way I've found for getting results to reduce the numbers. Okay, you won't get rid of all of them, because snails are kind of small when they're born. At least doing it this way, as you can see, like this, in this little shot glass like this, it doesn't take long for you to do this. And again, you can take this out and you can give it to your puffers or whatever it is that you want to do with your snails. Let me just put these guys back in here. Right, so that is how I deal with snails in my tanks.